Hey fellow animators, I'm Cherny. So as I have promised, here is a skinning part and continuation of a previous video about the bird rig. I have got quite a positive feedback from it, more than usual, which feels awesome and I am glad it actually helps people. So let's take a look at the skinning part of it. Skinning in general is quite hard to record and explain step by step. It's more of a subjective process which you get better at just by practicing. If you have ever done it, you know it takes a lot of time to do and you often have to deal with some parts vertex by vertex, which is not a very enjoyable process to look at in a video, but this will hopefully not be that bad. Okay, so select the mesh and apply skin modifier to it. Add bones and select all of them except the cat parent triangle and feet IK platforms. One thing I forgot to mention in a previous video when creating the rig, and that will be useful for us, is for these first arm bones. You are able to move them now, but only in the setup mode. If we create an animation layer, you will find out that they have locked positions by default, which is actually what we want most of the time. But for this rig, it would be better to be able to move them, because we will need that flexibility for folding the wings. For that, go to the hierarchy panel and link info. Here under the animation mode, uncheck lock local position for both bones. After that, you can move the bones even in animation mode. Awesome! Now we need a skin test animation, which I have already prepared for myself off screen, because that is also a very boring process to watch. So I will just load it here as a clip into the layer stack. Basically, it's just an animation where you want to move every single bone in every single direction possible. You can see I have moved the wing out of the way so I can see the body more clearly when I need to. And also animated a simple folding of the wing to see how it will look like. And for that, I have already used that unlocked movement of the first arm bone we have just enabled. Okay, so the default skin is of course terrible. Let's fix it. We will use the newer method of Voxel weight solver. This option is only present here since 3ds Max version 2016, I believe. If you don't have it, you can still do it the regular way with envelopes. Even if you do have it, you can still use the envelope way, which still works great. However, because this character is basically a blob, the Voxel weight solver will save us some work. It's especially useful for skinning rubbery things like this. Let's apply it. The default values usually work fine. You can try to adjust them and see if you can get something better. I sometimes do, but for this one, default should be fine. And with just one click, the result is much better. Even though it has some problems. Like the rubbery head here or rubbery legs, but that shouldn't be that hard to fix. Let's now go over the model and fix these issues one by one manually. Starting with this simple thing. You can see that with moving the wing, the body is also affected, which I don't like. Let's enable selecting vertices and also check select element option. With this, the whole parts of the model will be selected. Now start up the weight tool and go through every bone of the left wing, because we are skinning only the left part of the model, and remove their weights by changing them to 0. Now the wing doesn't affect the body at all. Next thing, let's fix the head. All of these vertices should be weighted to just the head bone, because there is a skull there and it shouldn't deform. But this sharp transition will occur. I was smoothing it manually at first, but it was not that great. Then I decided to give this whole loop a 50% value, which seemed to work better. So let's keep it at that. I was trying some things out, but in the end realized that the simple solution of whole loop having the same value will work best, except of these few border vertices that I modified a bit more. I have noticed that the wing is again affecting a part of the head. So again the same solution as before. This happened because I have subtracted the value from the head at one point, which gave some weight back to the wing. That's why you usually only add values when skinning, not subtract them. Okay, let's move to the legs. You can see how rubbery they are now. This is not that hard to fix though, especially with such a low poly model. For this loop I will first add 100% value for the ankle bone, and after that add 50% value to the leg bone next to it. That way I can be sure that the weight is only spread between these two bones. You can also see it in the weight tool table. This loop can be weighted only on the relevant leg bone. Split the other two loops between those two leg bones. (50-50) and 90-10 for example. Now you can see that the leg is not that rubbery anymore and keeps its shape much better. The same thing can be done for the fingers. They are too rubbery at the moment and even the claws move apart from the fingers. Starting from the outside, just put in 100% values for the finger bones, and for the loop where they meet, split it 50-50. That should do it. Because of that one loop being weighted 100% on the relevant bones, it keeps the shape of the fingers better. It's the same for the other fingers, so I will just show it for one more and then skip the rest. I am going loop by loop, and when I get to the one where two bones meet, I first put in 100% value for the one bone, then select the other one and add 50% to it. So I am only adding values, and that way I am sure that it doesn't spread the value somewhere where I don't want it to. If we would have more loops, we would need a bit more gradual blend than just one 50-50 loop, but here it's enough. Now the tail. First I am selecting vertices where I want to remove the weight of the middle tail bones completely. I want the sides to be moved only by the side bones. So selecting each bone of the middle tail and putting a 0 to it. Here I can subtract values, because I don't care where the weight for the vertices gets spread, because it's mostly distributed between the side bones, which is what I actually want. Now the same thing for the middle part. Selecting vertices and removing weights of the side bones. Now they move separately. And that's basically it. Here I am removing all the tail weights from the wings, because I don't want any tailbone to move the wing mesh at any point. When that is done, I have noticed that the tail affects the body too much around the pelvis. So first thing is to select the correct vertices. I want this whole left part to not be affected by the tail that much. That's why I have selected the left part. And now use the scale weight minus button to scale down the value. It removes the value at the scale. I don't want to put in a 0 because that would remove the weight completely. I just want to scale it down. That's why I use that button. It's useful sometimes. It doesn't seem to do that much, but if you watch closely, you can see that the numbers change and vertices move a bit. We can lower it a bit more even for the next loop closer to the tail. That's better. Now when I look at the tail when it's contracted, the middle part is still too wide. So let's weight the edges a bit to the side bones as well, so they contract together with them. It of course affects the opposite movement as well, but I can live with that. I skin only one side of the model because I will mirror the whole skin to the other side when I am finished. Now the wings. First, let's make sure that this first loop is not weighted on the wing bones, because I want them to always stay connected to the body and never detach from it. Here I am again subtracting the values and not adding them, because I want to keep the ratio of weights for each vertex as they have it now. I mean between chest, spine and pelvis. I just don't want them to be affected by wing bones, so sometimes subtracting is even useful, but you always have to know what you are doing. Now the wing will always stay connected. Here I am just fixing a pose for the folded wing a bit, so I know what problem is a skin problem and what is just a bone with a bad position. I am trying to do it as best as possible, to see where the skinning issues might be. Now, because the upper layer of the wing mesh and lower layer are pretty close to each other, they will have these overlapping issues where the polygon from lower layer gets above the upper one. The easiest way to fix this is to manually select vertex from one layer, copy its weight and paste it to the vertex from the other layer, so they have the same values. That way they will move together and will not overlap anymore. For this to work, you also need to have the mesh created a way where those vertices are on a similar spots and where the mesh flow is identical for upper and lower layer. So, when you copy all the vertices, you see no overlapping anymore. Okay, so I am not going to show you how I copy 100 vertices, but after you have copied some, if you want to make some change to the skin, like I do here, make sure you have both vertices selected and do the change only after that. Other than that, it's just going vertex by vertex and deciding where you want to put its weight. As I have said in the beginning, it cannot be taught the way click this vertex and put this weight now. It's mostly a subjective thing which gets better with experience, as everything else. The best way to do this is to try and see what works better and what doesn't. Also, probably every artist does this process a bit differently, and you will also develop your own way of doing it. Sometimes even a particular model requires a particular approach of skinning. There isn't any formula of how to do it properly. Anyway, after you are done, don't forget to mirror the skin, one side of the vertices to the other. And we are done. This is the final result I have come to. The wing folding will probably always have some issues because it's just an extreme change to the mesh. Your goal is basically just get to the best result as possible. It most likely will not be perfect. So this is how you prepare a bird model for animation. I hope you have enjoyed these two videos. It's not a very common thing to find tutorials for weirder things like birds, especially in cat. So I hope this helped. If it did, like and leave a comment. Thank you guys. I am Miloš Černý and thank you for watching.